What's up, everybody? This is SDZ Gamer, and this is an episode on covering the web demo of Dai Gyakuten Saiban 2. Naruhodo Ryunosuke no Kakugo. Kakugo. Yes, I think that's how you're supposed to say it. The script I'm actually using for this particular playthrough is not from the same translator I've been using for the DGS1. This script that I'm using is from the people who are doing the subtitle text work for DGS, which you can find a link to their YouTube in the video description down below later whenever you get the chance to check it out. Like I said, we had a trade-off. You've probably noticed they have the DLC episodes on their page now, and that is courtesy of me, because now that I had a working 3DS again, I could, get those done. So we traded off. I got the translation for the demo, and they got those episodes. And don't worry, I will be covering those DLC episodes at a later time when I get the chance probably after Case 4 and in the middle of doing Case 4 of SOJ, you'll probably see a couple of those episodes go up. So for the time being, we're going to go ahead and get into doing this web demo. There were some modifications I had to do in the script, so that's why it was taking quite a bit of time for me to actually go into doing this, because while it is fine when it's being read, some of the dialogue had to be changed so it sounded better when you say it. There were some pretty interesting English happening there, which, translation is hard, and I'm honestly just grateful to have gotten a translation at all, so, it's no fault of them. It's a tough job, and then I'm learning from doing it that localization is pretty tough too. So I'll stop talking now and we'll get going with this. And I will say the web demo has been kind of weird with me on whatever browser I'm using. It seems to be working fine for me when I'm using it on Firefox, but if there are some moments where the thing freezes, there will be weird parts where it cuts out because I had to restart the demo or something like that. Or refresh it. We are not continuing from where we left off. This is, how do you use this demo? And I left my mouse on so you guys can actually see what I'm selecting when we get into this, the evidence and stuff.
こうして目の覚めるような澄み渡った青空の下に立つと、ロンドンでのあの日々がまるで嘘のようでございます。懐かしい異国の大帝都。あの方は、それは立派な弁護士になられました。今もきっと、かの地の法廷で勇敢に戦っていると存じます。ご挨拶が遅くなって本当に申し訳ございません。帰国より慌ただしい日が続いたものでございますから。それに一体誰が想像したでしょうか。この国に戻ってからたった2ヶ月。今日はご報告に参りました。明日、私は大審院の法廷に立ちます。一生にただ一度、弁護士として。どうかこのすさとに力を与えてくださいませ。
Does that pretty much throw out all the theories about Sogi still being alive? It's not the same day. It's just some day at 9 in the morning in the Supreme Court, courtroom number 1. Oh, goodness. The court is now in session for the trial of Haori Murasame. Murasame. Same. Hold on, I gotta lower the volume. Need to be able to hear this too, so.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Defense, what say you? Attorney, state your readiness.
Ready.
Oh man, so I remember when the stream came up and they were showing bits of this case and everyone was flipping their shit about this mysterious attorney, and as soon as you saw it, you could just tell it's Susato. Right, attorney. According to the form you sent in, your name is, Naruhodo Ryotaru, correct? Yes. You needed an appropriate name as a male, you see? So I wrote a random name on the form as an alias and had it sent in. Defense, your answer! Is that too low? I don't... I'm gonna lower it up again.
I am indeed a man and none other than Naruhodo himself.
Even I thought that was a little over the top. So there's a lost in translation here because there is no representation of what she was doing in English per se. She was messing up her pronouns basically, where she was saying she started saying watashi, then changed it to boku, and then changed it to ore. And that's a really hard thing to actually translate properly into English, so that's why the line went the way it did. Also, cease those wondering eyes and open your ears instead, will you?
Naruhodo? This is the first I have seen such a face in this imperial court. However, that name Naruhodo is familiar. Would you happen to be related to the other one?
The very same Naruhodo Ryunosuke, currently undergoing the exchange program in Britain. This is his,
Cousin! I'm his cousin, naturally.
He has been studying law in the countryside. I summoned him here for the sake of this trial. He is second to none when it comes to knowledge of the law.
Second to none? Good grief, you're pitiful. Having to resort to hiring a lowly student from the countryside after no real attorney should take your case. Susato-chan is a gallant attorney. Mock her and I shall not forgive you. Susato-chan?
Haori-sama.
That rowdiness is rather unsightly. However, is that claim truly valid? Would a gallant attorney have trouble keeping their gaze focused?
Oh, this crippling nervousness. I understand now. Standing here as you have been, Naruhodo-sama. How your eyes cannot help but wonder. The trial carried out in this courtroom today is one of the utmost importance to our country, the verdict of which will no doubt affect the future of the Empire of Japan.
Just as the case from 9 months ago was. I question whether this backwater attorney can handle such an important trial.
I don't know, Naruhodo managed just fine. It seems an interrogation is in order. A test to see if this person is qualified to stand within this courtroom. 9 months ago, he stood in this court, in this very same court, just as you are now. Back then, he too was tested if he had the right to stand in court as an attorney. Despite being a student, he spectacularly overcame the trial. Surely, this is trivial to you, as a paralegal. I shall now pose some exceedingly simple questions to the attorney. Now's the time to brace myself. Please proceed, Your Honor, and go easy on me. Well then, first, state the name of the victim in this case. That shouldn't be a problem. I can't forget it even if I tried. Huh? Whatever is the matter? I realize something else as I stand here, Naruhodo-sama. In situations like this, your mind is guaranteed to go blank. Well, this is your first time on the defense and the first to don that uniform. Even someone as composed as you can lose oneself. Oh, this is the biggest fumble of my life. In that case, use your knowledge as a paralegal to overcome this. That's right. I have the court records. All information on the case are contained within the court records. Yes. First, touch the court record button on the bottom screen. And then touch the profiles button. You ought to hurry. His Honor has his eyes on you. First, I touch the court records button. All the information I need should be there. Well then, attorney, state your answer. Well, before we do that, let's look at the stuff. Okay, this is the coroner's report. Deceased around 2 p.m., determined to have died from a knife piercing to the heart. Only one stab entry is present. There we go. The name Giselle Bullitt, female, an English woman. Time of death, 11th of August at 2 p.m. An estimate confirmed by witness testimonials. Cause of death, a deep stab from the back, hypothesized to have died from injury to her heart, causing instant death. Remarks. There are extreme contractions in both pupils. No test for venom was carried out, and as such there is no proof it is related to the cause of death. Did we learn nothing from the first trial in DGS 1? Alright, let me go to the profiles then and get that information up. Alright. Yujin Mikatoba, a professor of the Yume University, holds authority within the Department of Law there and owns a laboratory. My father. Yeah, this totally Susato, right? Haori Murasame. My best friend, currently helping out my father in his lab in Yume University. She is the defendant in this case. Giselle Bullitt, an exchange student in Yume University and the victim, murdered Professor John H. Watson of the medical department 9 months ago. Aochi Taketsuchi, the appointed prosecutor of this case, a fish out of water in the current Meiji era. I don't think they even said Meiji. I think they probably called it the Restoration period, honestly, if you're from that time. But I could be wrong. Who was the victim in this case? My choices is Aochi, Mikatoba, and Bullitt. The answer is obviously Bullitt, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go through the other options first. Let's go Aochi first. The victim of this case is... right. None other than Prosecutor Aochi Taketsuchi. What do you mean by right? Don't kill this Aochi so effortlessly! I got scolded. Well, of course you did. Did you check the court records yet? The information needed is likely in there. Yes, of course I had looked through the court records. I simply chose the one nearing death's doorstep. What a morbid way to choose. I'm at a loss for words. Either way, read through the information once more, but be serious with your answer this time. Please, for my sake. Father is equally sad and amused. I can't squander things here. Your Honor, would you please grant me another chance? Then rid yourself of those wondering eyes before I ask once more. Who was the victim in this case? My father!
The victim of this case is Mikatoba Yujin, Your Honor, sir.
To think that my own child would be the one to end me.
Father, you seem older all of a sudden.
Wouldn't a father feel that way after hitting his child makes such a claim? Listen closely. A victim refers to one who had been killed. Check the information within the court records once more. More thoroughly this time, please.
Father is equally sad and amused. I can't squander things here. Your Honor, would you please grant me another chance?
Then rid yourself of those wondering eyes before I ask once more. Alright, our real victim is Giselle Bullitt.
The name of the victim in this case is Giselle Bullitt. Giselle Bullitt.
It can be said that the name is unforgettable in the eyes of this land's law. Quite so. There is no one involved in the law of this country who doesn't know the significance that name holds. I will now have you answer one more question. Giselle Bullitt was an exchange student deployed from Britain. What would be the reason for her name to be entwined with the history of our empire's law? It's not possible to forget about that case 9 months ago. Her true identity is also recorded in the court records. Convenient, is it not?
I remember it myself as well. That incident was the start of everything. Giselle Bullitt. She held the facade of being an exchange student, but in reality she was
the victim, the British Queen, the killer. The British Queen. Well, the killer is the answer, but let's go with the victim.
Of course, that would be the victim, Your Honor, sir.
Hasn't the victim part already been cleared up just moments ago?
I generally believed you had a brain for a moment since you said it so confidently. I thought that was odd for a brief moment as well.
I may have to knock some sense into you. In any case, her true identity is written in the court records. Take a proper look at the profiles. Before more victims appear, let me ask again.
Yes, I understand. She held the facade of being an exchange student,
but she was really the British Queen.
Of course, that would be the British Queen, Your Honor, sir.
I love how she has the same quirks as Naruhodo when she's nervous.
Don't you of course me? Don't you, Your Honor, sir, him? As if the Queen would be a lowly exchange student. I thought that was impossible as well.
I may have to knock some sense into you after all. Surely, you haven't forgotten the details unveiled about that woman from the case 9 months ago, have you?
Of course. I cannot forget about that woman.
Then what is that outlandish answer you gave? Before you give any more foolish answers, let me ask you again.
Yes. I got treated like a fool.
Alright, now the real answer to this. She is the killer.
9 months ago, a professor at the Yume University was murdered. And the culprit was Giselle Bullitt.
She was a murderer. Who's talking here? Our empire had only just signed a new treaty with the Great British Empire at the time. The incident occurred when international relations were still so delicate. The victim was Dr. John Ace Watson, an Englishman. That's weird. This sounds like Susato is asking the question, but the beeps are like of a male speaking. Because I'm getting here is Professor Mikatobo. Was he not an acquaintance of yours? He was my former teacher in forensic medicine back when I was studying in London. And it was I who invited him to Japan to teach at Yume University. Our government had wished to resolve the matter of the Englishman's murder swiftly. The trial was carried out here within the walls of the Supreme Court, treated as a state secret. The one arrested on suspicions of murder was a student from Yume University, Naruhodo Ryunosuke, a second year in the English department. With the help of his best friend, who was a student attorney, he defended himself and brought Giselle Bullett's despicable actions to light. Although Giselle Bullitt confessed to her crimes, in the end, there was still the matter of why Professor Watson was killed. The trial eventually ended with her motives unknown.
After the trial concluded, the British government called for the right to extraterritorial trials.
Extraterritorial. Why is that word? It's Defense Culpability Act all over again.
We were unable to pass judgment onto Giselle Bullitt under our own laws, and were instructed to ferry her personage to Shanghai.
Shanghai. The Great British Empire does have an extraterritorial office in Shanghai, after all. I myself handled the discussions between our governments and the coordination of the handover. The arrangements were finally settled just last week. All that was left was to send her off on a steamship, and our empire would be done with her, but...
'Twas exactly the day before her departure that Englishwoman had been murdered.
The day before her departure. In any event, the court recognized this man's right to stand as counsel for the defendant.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I made it.
Now then, let us go through the outlines of this case. Prosecutor Aochi, you may begin.
As you wish, Your Honor. This horrifying murder happened midday on the 11th of August. It took place at a seawater bath near the capital on a cloudless day and the air tinged with salt. Specifically, it occurred inside a small bathing hut used for the purpose of changing clothes and a place to rest. The cause of death: a single stab into the victim's back with a small knife. The blade penetrated into her lung, which proved to be fatal. At the time, there had been only 2 people within the shack. Giselle Bullitt, who was changing into her swimwear, and the accused over there, Haori Murasame.
Murasame. Why is her last name so hard for me to say?
It could not have been anyone else. What's more, this woman has a motive. She was then promptly arrested by the police.
There seems to be some details missing here, my good friend. How do I say this? I'm at a loss for words by the odd circumstances presented.
Indeed, the prosecutor's information just now. There are some points that I can't help thinking it should be brought up. As an attorney, the information I should ask for additional clarity would be
the seawater bath, there were only 2 people, and the violent motive. Let's go in order.
Excuse me, may I have but a moment of your time, Prosecutor Aochi? Ouchie. What is it, you countryside bumpkin with a baby face?
What exactly do you mean by a seawater bath?
Ha! Such a thing might as well be worlds away for a country bumpkin. a seawater bath is the newest method of leisure brought over by the Westerners. Miraculously, the water from the seas heals disease and smoothes one's skin.
No, that is not what I'm referring to. Giselle Bullet was a despicable murderer, was she not? So then why is that criminal free to relax at the beach?
For the memory, I am told.
Pardon?
It was decided that Giselle Bullet would be sent off to Shanghai the following day. Wishing to leave with good memories of this country, she desired to have a splendid vacation on the beach. Her request was sent to the British legal department, exerting immense pressure on us to cooperate.
And you granted their demand? I see we haven't changed. Our empire is still weak to foreign powers. Even when it comes to diplomacy, we have no courage to refuse a criminal's absurdity.
Do not direct that stare of yours at me! The government was the one who permitted! An inspector had been assigned to watch her, so it was deemed a non-issue.
And yet, in spite of that, the murder had taken place, did it not?
Do not direct that stare of yours at me! The one who killed her was that female student!
I must ask that you refrain from jumping to conclusions. I believe it would be best not to rile up that prosecutor needlessly. At any rate, it would be better for me to gather more information right now. Alright, the next option we pick is the only two. Haoris-sama, may I ask you something?
Oh, yes, what do you need, Susato? Oh, no, I mean... Naruhodo-sama!
Perhaps we should have simply gone with Ryotaro Susato instead. First off, why were you together with that Englishwoman at the beach? Moreover, why were you alone with her?
No, absolutely not! It is not what you think! An inspector escorting her and the others were also present at the time.
I was merely asked to accompany her, so we went together.
However, the crucial detail to note here is the fact that when the murder happened, only those two were present in the hut. Incidentally, you should know why she chose to accompany the victim to the seawater baths that day. For it was her final opportunity to take the life of the victim.
But no!
After all, she was going to be sent off to Shanghai the following day. Never again would another opportunity to slaughter her arise.
I must ask that you cease your false accusations. That prosecutor is quite twisted with his tricks, I see. However, what we need now is information, so we must endure. Ah, how frightening. But I need more information or else... Alright, the last one, the violent motive. Violent, you say? Would you please refrain from exaggerating?
My, what strange words to hear from a little country bumpkin with such a serious face.
Huh?
Oh, why bother? Let us ask the defendant then. Defendant, were you not a research assistant in the Yumei University's medical department?
Yes, I am currently assisting Professor Mikatoba in his lab. Murasami-kun has a strong sense of responsibility and has been of great help.
Sounds wonderful. With that, I have one more question. Where did you do your research before you were in Professor Mikatoba's laboratory?
Huh? Oh, that would be Professor John H. Watson's medical laboratory for studies. Professor Watson, you say? Is that not the name of the same professor who had been murdered by Giselle Bullet 9 months ago?
defendant regards her late teacher, Professor Watson, with the highest of respect. Is that not so? Yes, Professor Watson was the most wonderful teacher. Then, what are your thoughts on that British exchange student who had taken the professor's life? I despise her, naturally. Yes, you could say I violently loathe her. Haoris-sama, saying that is... Oops. Revenge as motive. That is all, Your Honor.
I believe I have a clearer understanding of this case. Over these 9 months since Giselle Bullet was found guilty, she was not placed within the confinements of a jail cell, but given the freedom to continue her research at the university. Why? Why would you allow that? I don't care if it's like she's freaking British. I mean, common sense. You're a criminal. You should not be walking around like that unless you're doing community service. And of course, she would have crossed paths with Murasame-kun. I like how Mikatoba refers to Murasame as Kun and not any san or something. Or is Kun used for women too? I don't know. Okay. The professor's murderer did not atone for her crimes and spent her time being free instead. Though it was merely temporary until her departure was decided. I would not fault Murasame-kun for feeling such hatred towards the murderer. Haoris-sama.
Now then, Your Honor, I'd like you to take a gander at this photograph. This depicts the crime scene as it was found.
This is quite the gruesome scene.
As one may observe, it is impossible for anyone to have concealed themselves in this tiny hut.
The court will accept this photograph as evidence. Crime scene photo. A photo taken by the police just after the murder. It is clear the victim was stabbed in the back. Excuse me. There was no one else other than both the defendant and the victim in a locked room. I must say, the situation we have here is undeniably clear.
Oh, of course, Your Honor, but that's not all.
Oh, great, of course it's not all.
I have prepared decisive evidence that shows the defendant had committed the crime. Evidence and witness testimony alike will prove fatal to her claims of innocence. Witnesses? There were witnesses to the crime?
Well, she was being escorted.
Furthermore, one of the witnesses is an outstanding inspector of the Capitol Police Force. I, Ouchie, dare say that this man's testimony will leave no room for doubt.
Now then, Prosecutor Ouchie, you may proceed with presenting your argument.
I, Prosecutor Aochi Takesuchi, have waited for this day. Huh? Yes, that unforgettable event that happened 9 months ago. The judgment passed within this very imperial court. That cheeky lowlife of a student, and the humiliation he has subjected me to.
His hair.
Naruhodo Ryunosuke!
Huh? Yes.
This resentment, I feel, shall never be forgotten until the Aochi house meets its end.
The prideful will be tripped up by the young. History has proven that to us. You do well to engrave what you feel in this moment upon your heart.
I'm glad they brought this back. It's the best thing ever.
As I tapped my cropped head, I could hear the sound of westernization. Yes, that day, the Tokugawa shogunate era ended for me.
My, the restoration certainly took its time.
Shut up! Since that day, I vowed revenge. Since the day I vowed revenge, a small miracle occurred. Behold my forehead!
Ouchie!
On what I had thought to be a barren wasteland now buds something called hope.
That was so cheesy.
I can sense from Prosecutor Aochi's forehead a faint yearning. Excuse me. I am afraid I cannot see it. Wherever is this hope you're referring to?
Oh my god.
I told you to shut up! Today is the day I slaughter the country bumpkin who shares his name. My hope rides on the back of this verdict. Prepare yourselves! Now then, witnesses for the prosecution, you may now enter the courtroom.
It appears that today's trial will be a grand showdown with both sides having something terribly important at stake.
Please do not equate that tiny fringe and Haoris-sama into the same group.
You tell her. You tell him, Susato. Soseki, you are back, and the freaking inspector.
Without further ado, state your names and occupation to the court.
I love how I'm clicking on the script, thinking it'll continue, but that's not where I'm supposed to click. This was the appearance I wore to conceal myself that day. I am Inspector from the police force, Hosonaga Satoru.
I am, indeed, the future writer whose name shall roar within the capital. The author of the best-selling Wagaha wa Neko de Aru, Set Natsumi Soseki.
Does that sound right? Or should I just say I'm a cat? The title is I Am a Cat.
Ah! Hello, tormented student from the sticks. Please go easy on us. I cannot blame you if you find my presence so radiant that you freeze with nervousness. Yes?
Yes. Why is Soseki-sama here? Be on your guard, Susato. You've met that respectable writer in London, after all. Should they discover your true identity, all will be for naught. Yes, I understand. Natsumi Soseki-sama, you are the one person I could never forget. Though he does seem to have changed somewhat since the last time I saw him. The inspector's bizarre appearance has also changed, if slightly towards the obscure. Is there something perhaps on my face? Well, yes, though it's what's attached to your head than on your face. Regardless, I think the good inspector has yet to recognize me. Perhaps it's his attire? I simply thought to reproduce the appearance I had when I witnessed the events. If you're going to testify, then do it with the utmost perfection. That's my creed, you see. Yet, the matter of the inspector aside, how have you, a writer, come to be a witness to this case?
Well, where do I begin? I, a literary writer, had been invited to a lecture that day. It was before noon, in the auditorium of Yume University.
Yume University?
After the lecture, I had a pleasant conversation in the laboratory of the medical department. With that professor there.
Huh? With Professor Mikatoba? Yes, a certain newspaper company had scheduled us together. They wanted us to have a lively conversation, since we had both studied in Great Britain.
With the topic of uprising writers trending, there are reporters watching my every move. Every single movement, candidly taken, like so.
Hi, cameraman! Right.
The details of the conversation has been, word for word, printed in the newspaper here. Feel free to read it, oh suffering student. I have purchased multiple copies.
Thank you very much. He shoved the newspaper right into my face. Soseki's newspaper article. The newspaper of what my father and Natsumi Soseki had talked about. He was very excited.
That aside, when my conversation with the good professor ended, that English woman appeared in the laboratory and exclaimed, "I do so wish to gaze upon the Sea of Japan with everyone here."
I may have said this earlier, but that woman was never actually arrested. Even after her verdict was passed down, she continued her research, but under my supervision in my lab. Man, I'm starting to get really suspicious about Professor Migatoba because of a couple of things, and I had to thank my other friend who was translating the DGS1 stuff for me. She pointed out that the age difference is just about the same with Baroque von Zieks and Migatoba, and probably maybe Watson back then as well. I'm not sure. But the thing is, Baroque said that he was betrayed by a Japanese man once, and Migatoba here has been to Great Britain at one point. So, I don't know. Maybe there's something there, or maybe we're looking far too into this, but either way, it's like, I can't help but be a little suspicious about Professor Migatoba. Where was I looking? Here we go.
And that was when the university hurriedly inquired the government on the matter, to which they said they would permit it on the condition that an inspector was present to oversee the trip.
That supervising inspector was me, Hosonaga, here with nothing to hide. Anyone who says that probably has something to hide.
And so everyone happily chummed together and went to the beach.
The beach turnabout. I had to bribe people on the beach side. It was quite the terrible experience. For my health hasn't been good lately, you see. As you may observe, I desired nothing but perfection when preparing for my missions. I think there's a context missing here. I believe he had to bribe the people because they were clearing out everyone in order for Bullet to actually spend time at the beach, I assume.
Inspector, this time there really is something on your face.
Oh my. How terribly rude of me.
By the way, Father, did you accompany them?
I did not go. Thankfully, I had work to be done. But in turn, an unfortunate event fell upon us. My lab assistant, Murasami-kun, is now suspected of murder.
I myself thought nothing about accompanying her. Ah! If only I had gone, I would have spared myself that sight! Regret fills my heart!
This is even more funny with the camera guy. Now then, the court would like the witnesses to testify. Tell us the truth of what you encounter and saw on that fateful beach. As you wish, Your Honor.
Regret fills my heart.
The witness, what the witnesses saw. On that day, I received orders to supervise the beach trip. I did so in this attire.
Just as I was amusing myself with the crabs on the beach, I heard a scream from behind.
I opened the curtain door of the beach hut and charged in to see the two ladies.
Ah! That maiden straddled the Englishwoman with a small knife, which had struck clean into her.
I saw blood on the small blaze as it was raised. I'd say it was proof she had been stabbed multiple times. It certainly appears that these two did indeed witness the crime. Witnesses to the moment of that heinous act.
Furthermore, I have here another item, as promised earlier, to present. Yes, it is none other than our decisive evidence.
Is that what people call a fountain pen? I found it while I was inspecting the body. As she was dying, with the last of her strength, she held on to a piece of evidence that would point us to the killer. I'm sorry, but, I think this is the case of something, shoot. I think this is the case of the knife from, Mangadel's case. I don't think, Murasumi would have the means to own a fountain pen, to be honest. Especially one that has engraving on it. Oh, I missed the line. She held on to a piece of evidence that would point us to the killer. Wait, I did say that. Never mind.
What? Your Honor, would you kindly turn your eyes to the crime scene photograph I had presented earlier?
Oh, this... The victim appears to have held on to something out of her own will. What I had discovered in her hand was the fountain pen the court had just been presented with. Your Honor, I would ask you to please inspect that fountain pen thoroughly. Ah! On the ebony shaft, I see the carved initials of the owner. H.M. Haori Murasumi. It matches the defendant's initials exactly. How can this be? Rub. The court accepts this fountain pen as decisive evidence. A fountain pen found at the site. The initials of HM are carved into it. Fountain pen has been... Oh, no, that's been filled in the court record. That's what it says in the blue font. Excuse me.
Now, how do you take that? A perfect testimony and decisive proof. The sky shine the colors of summer outside this courthouse. I dare say it is the perfect day for a guilty verdict. The prosecutor Aochi we see today seems far more intense than he did 9 months ago. Without further ado, Attorney Naruhodo, the court orders you to perform the cross-examination. Attorney Naruhodo! Naruhodo. She is me. I mean, he is me. For I am a man. Yes. Are there any other Naruhodos in this room? There isn't any Naruhodos actually present here, but... Please pull yourself together, cousin Ryotaro-kun. I have stood in the grand courtroom many times as a paralegal. To expose the lies from the witnesses, I must pursue the contradictions with their testimonies. This is the duty entrusted unto attorney when they cross-examine. Come what may, I have to try. That text went so fast and I had too many things to read. Help me! Oh. Okay, now we press everything. That lag! With that outfit, were you planning to enjoy yourself? Yes, correct. Oh, no! Wait! It's not what you think. This is by no means the first time I've ever bathed in the seawater bath or the like. Discreetly keep an eye on them. That was the special mission I had been entrusted with that day. Discreet, you say? Hiding in plain sight is one of the most important duties as an inspector. I, Hosonaga, would dive into the salty sea, and my turtle would look towards the beach like so. I can fully act out the part of a turtle enjoying its swim. Was there really a need to conceal your presence?
Your priority seems backwards. What if that resulted in you being late to the scene? No comment!
Perhaps it'd be wise not to pursue this topic any further.
Yeah, probably. Oh my god, that lag. That lag is so weird. This is so weird.
Excuse me, so was that perhaps a scream from the victim? Well, to express it in literary term, it would be a shrilling scream that chilled one to the bone. Eek! It went echoing across the beach. Oh, but there were no such events that could possibly catch me off guard. Seki-sama was never such a character. Anyway, I turned myself around and looked into the small hut. And that small hut refers to...
That area is a popular recreation location for government officials. It's a quiet beachside, as the location is closed off to commoners. A simple hut was constructed for the changing of clothes and breaks.
Well, the English woman alone was hogging that hut for herself, leaving me to change his wear on the beachside.
Ooh, nobody wants to see that.
That must have been something of an embarrassment for you. In any event, I flung off the crab I had and ran towards the small hut. To express that in literary terms, even the crabs dash sideways.
Not Hosonaga, Soseki, please. Who puts these two together, period? These two are like the most weirdest and wildest bunches of witnesses ever.
The two ladies, do you mean...
Oh, is it not obvious? It was the victim, that English woman, and the defendant, Hori Murasumi. Sume.
Oh, you could have simply said so.
It seems to me you're the one who got hopeful and the one who let himself down.
Clinging to a hope of something that will never be. What foolishness. What is he saying after having his own hope attacked like that?
I mean, she's got a point.
So, what was the state of those two at that time?
My lord, my word, let's just say there was a terrible amount of force and violence. Swiping away the curtain, I stepped into the hut at that very moment. I saw the poor Englishwoman collapse onto the sand, the defendant on top of her, like a demoness. Whoa, calm down, Hosonaga. I nearly dropped my glasses from what I had seen.
Quite a disaster. It doesn't look like he was lying. So, you saw the same scene as well, Soseki-sama. Oh, are you inquiring me now?
Yes, I am, good sir. That was a weird place to pause.
Struck clean? Did you clearly witness that moment? Indeed. An apocalyptic episode. Fresh blood spilled the floor. I flung a crab while a turtle graced his head. I still recall that moment when I closed my eyes, as if it had seared into the backside of my eyelids, the sound still ringing in my ears. That is the future literary legend Natsumi Soseki's impression of it all. Attorney! What was that shrill, feminine scream just now?
Sir!
I assure you that I am a Japanese man and that was a masculine scream.
Excuse me, if you will, good poet, but there is something I would like to know. You said that was your impression, correct?
So, that would mean you have no confidence in what you have seen yourself? Nay! The answer is nay, I say! My ears had indeed heard the cry, therefore my eyes would have seen the blood. I shall even write in every detail of the vivid scene to the literary magazine come tomorrow. So tomorrow's I Am a Cat shall have blood spilled within its pages.
That's kind of morbid. So, it appears that writer will draw into his own mindscape the more one prods it. This spells trouble indeed. Stabbed multiple times. And how did you know that? It was simple. I saw the blood on the knife.
Blood?
What I saw was the moment the defendant had raised her blade skywards.
Indeed, that is the truth, for I have seen it as well.
Oh. And that blade had already been stained with blood. Ergo, that would mean she had already stabbed the victim once.
Truly the truth, for I saw it as well.
What's more, the victim had the fountain pen grasped within her hand. Which means the victim did not perish immediately. That too is plain to see.
The truth I saw!
Soseki-sama, you seem to be the foreigner here now. Yet, that reasoning of his is logical. If I must testify, then testify with the utmost perfection. That is my creed, you see.
If I'm going to protect someone, let me protect them perfectly. Shouldn't that have been your creed instead?
Oh! That bird! Just picking at Hosonaga today. Oh my god, Hosonaga! Attorney, do refrain from bullying the witness.
All the words are jostling about through my head. There's not much I can do other than have my eyes wander like this.
Oh no, you must relax your nerves.
But it doesn't seem like there are any contradictions in their statements. Additionally, there is no reason whatsoever for them to lie.
Even if the witnesses have no intention of doing so, they will still lie. Misremembering, mistaking what they saw, drawing from their mind. There are countless reasons.
Their mind.
In this case, what is the truth? There's only one thing that can reveal that answer.
And that is evidence?
Indeed it is. I expected no less from a legal assistant. If you touch the present button during the testimony, you will be able to see all evidence recorded. Carefully compare their testimonies and the information in the evidence. There you will find discrepancies lurking beneath. In other words, contradictions.
Contradictions.
Should you find any testimony that does not match with the evidence, present it to them, and a new path should open before your very eyes.
Understood! I have to look at the evidence and search for a contradiction in the testimony. Can I do this?
You may listen to their testimony in as many times as you see fit. Everyone starts as a novice. Let your eyes wander as much as they will. After all, the only defense that girl has is you, attorney.
Yes! Let's listen to everyone once more with a fresh mind.
I have no idea what's wrong with my voice today. I'm having coughing fits, so that's why there's some weird skips here. So now that we pressed on everything, you know what? I wonder if you can get a penalty for presenting the wrong thing at the wrong testimony in the demo. Anyway, last statement is talking about being stabbed multiple times, but that can't be the case because in the coroner's report, it said that she had one stab wound. Does that present? Yeah. Oh! I'm sorry! That was her say objection like that. Oh. Now that I've yelled from the pit of my stomach, I've come to an understanding. How Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-sama stood on this bench. And how large of an obstacle they both had to face. She has the slow version of the objection. I was expecting her to get an objection, but she has the slow version, like another version, just like Naruhodo does. Why does Usogi have two? That's cheating.
What? How dare you act so threateningly, you lowly student?
Witness, allow me to clarify one thing.
What can I do for you?
No, I'm not referring to you, Soseki-sama, but you, Inspector Hosonaga-sama. Me? In your testimony, you said this. The killer stabbed the victim multiple times, correct? Indeed. After all, the moment I stepped foot into the crime scene, the defendant had the appearance of being possessed and was raising her small bloodied blade upwards. However, that cannot be true. Huh? What do you mean, attorney? Oh my god! It is written clearly on the coroner's report that the victim had only been stabbed once. Aw, can we just keep playing that track? Hosonaga! In other words, Inspector Hosonaga's testimony clearly contradicts the facts. Oh man, there it is! Oh my god! Oh my god, her objection theme is so good! Oh, and you can just hear slight bits of her theme in it too. It's great. Oh my god, I need to finish this, but I can't stop being excited. I want this game now. Where was I? And furthermore, Soseki-sama. You claim to have seen the moment Haoris-sama stabbed the defendant, correct? Yes! She did it like this! Sort of. Clearly. However, the two of you also testified that the raised blade had already been stained with blood. And what of it? Listen closely. The small bladed weapon had only stabbed her once. If so, it doesn't make sense for a weapon to be stained with blood before it struck her. Indeed. Attorney, in that case, what on earth does this mean? Your Honor, there can only be one conclusion we can draw from this. Soseki-sama, what you witnessed was not the moment when the victim had been stabbed, but rather the moment the small blade was pulled out. No, but how could my eyes have... Magnificently done, Susato. That first objection with the force of a quake. It was you declaring your resolution, wasn't it? Yes! It begins here. Ryutaro's My Great Turnabout. I swear I'll surprise everyone by turning this situation around, and I shall present my finding at a later date. That's right, on the day of the official release. Bless you, Shisato. Bless you. And that is the end of the web demo, I believe. Yes, it is. Thank you all for playing. Alright, so there you go. That's the web demo of DGS2. I am really looking forward to getting to play this game when it comes out. And yes, I will be covering it, but please understand that I am not very fluent in Japanese still. So there is probably going to be a very long wait before I actually start doing an LP for it. I may do what I did with SLJ, is once I get a proper script, I might do a full blind run through on Twitch and stream it like I did with SLJ. But we'll see when that happens. So thank you all for watching. If you like what I'm doing and you want to see more of my stuff and just keep up with things, please, by all means, subscribe, like the video, and thank the people over at the Text DGS YouTube account over there. Thank them for the translation script that they've given me in order to do this. So, until the next video.
「この国に戻ってからたった2ヶ月。今日はご報告に参りました。明日、私は大審院の法廷に立ちます。一生にただ一度、弁護士として。どうか、このすさとに力を与えてくださいませ。
So, does that pretty much, throw out all the theories about Sogi still being alive? It's not the same day, it's just some day at 9 in the morning in the, Supreme Court, courtroom number 1. Oh, goodness. The court is now in session for the trial of Haori Murasame. Murasame. Hold on, I gotta lower the volume. Need to be able to hear this too, so.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Defense, what say you? Attorney, state your readiness.
Ready.
Oh man, so I remember when the stream came up and they were showing bits of this case and everyone was flipping their shit about this mysterious attorney, and as soon as you saw it, you could just tell it's Susato. Right, attorney. According to the form you sent in, your name is, Naruhodo Ryotaru, correct? Yes. You needed an appropriate name as a male, you see? So I wrote a random name on the form as an alias and had it sent in. Defense, your answer! Is that too low? I don't... I'm gonna lower it up again.
I am she. I mean, I am indeed a man and none other than Naruhodo himself.
Even I thought that was a little over the top. So there's a lost in translation here because there is no representation of what she was doing in English per se. She was messing up her pronouns basically, where she was saying, she started saying watashi, then changed it to boku, and then changed it to ore. And that's a really hard thing to actually translate properly into English, so that's why the line went the way it did. Also, cease those wondering eyes and open your ears instead, will you?
Naruhodo? This is the first I have seen such a face in this imperial court. However, that name Naruhodo is familiar. Would you happen to be related to the other one?
The very same Naruhodo Ryunosuke, currently undergoing the exchange program in Britain. This is his,
Cousin! I'm his cousin, naturally.
He has been studying law in the countryside. I summoned him here for the sake of this trial. He is second to none when it comes to knowledge of the law.
Second to none. Good. grief, you're pitiful. Having to resort to hiring a lowly student from the country.
And I'm honestly just grateful to have gotten a translation at all. So, you know, it's no fault of them. It's a tough job. And then I'm learning from doing it that localization is pretty tough too. So, I'll stop talking now and we'll get going with this. And I will say, the web demo has been kind of weird with me on whatever browser I'm using. It seems to be working fine for me when I'm using it on Firefox, but if there are some moments where the thing freezes, there will be weird parts where it cuts out because I had to restart the demo or something like that. Or refresh it. We are not continuing from where we left off. This is how do you use this demo? And I left my mouse on so you guys can actually see what I'm selecting when we get into this, like, you know, the evidence and stuff.
こうして目の覚めるような澄み渡った青空の下に立つと、ロンドンでのあの日々がまるで嘘のようでございます。懐かしい異国の大帝都。あの方は、それは立派な弁護士になられました。今もきっと、かの地の法廷で勇敢に戦っていると存じます。ご挨拶が遅くなって、本当に申し訳ございません。帰国より慌ただしい日が続いたものでございますから。それに、一体誰が想像したでしょうか。
After no real attorney should take your case. Susato-chan is a gallant attorney. Mock her and I shall not forgive you. Susato-chan? I mean... Haoris-sama. That rowdiness is rather unsightly. However, is that claim truly valid? Would a gallant attorney have trouble keeping their gaze focused? Oh, this crippling nervousness. I understand now, standing here as you have been, Naruhodo-sama, how your eyes cannot help but wonder.
The trial carried out in this courtroom today is one of the utmost importance to our country, the verdict of which will no doubt affect the future of the Empire of Japan.
Just as the case from 9 months ago was. I question whether this backwater attorney can handle such an important trial.
I don't know, Naruhodo managed just fine. It seems an interrogation is in order. A test to see if this person is qualified to stand within this courtroom. 9 months ago, he stood in this court, in this very same court, just as you are now. Back then, he too was tested if he had the right to stand in court as an attorney. Despite being a student, he spectacularly overcame the trial. Surely, this is trivial to you, as a paralegal. I shall now pose some exceedingly simple questions to the attorney.
Now's the time to brace myself. Please proceed, Your Honor, and go easy on me.
Well then, What's up, everybody? This is SDZ Gamer, and this is an episode on covering the web demo of Dai Gyakuten Saiban 2. Naruhodo Ryunosuke no Kakugo. Kakugo. Yes, I think that's how you're supposed to say it. The script I'm actually using for this particular playthrough is not from the same translator I've been using for the DGS1. This script that I'm using is from the people who are doing the subtitle text work for DGS, which you can find a link to their YouTube in the video description down below later whenever you get the chance to check it out. Like I said, we had a trade-off. You've probably noticed they have the DLC episodes on their page now, and that is courtesy of me, because now that I had a working 3DS again, I could, get those done. So we traded off. I got the translation for the demo, and they got those episodes. And don't worry, I will be covering those DLC episodes at a later time when I get the chance probably after Case 4 and in the middle of doing Case 4 of SOJ, you'll probably see a couple of those episodes go up. So for the time being, we're going to go ahead and get into doing this web demo. There were some modifications I had to do in the script, so that's why it was taking quite a bit of time for me to actually go into doing this, because while it is fine when it's being read, some of the dialogue had to be changed so it sounded better when you say it. There were some pretty interesting English happening there, which, translation is hard.